right, how do you do, fellow kids? I thought I'd record my thoughts on Yojo June. Let's get into it. So the big news was the Haslab, the Haslab HISS Tank. There was a lot of conjecture on what it would be. I think it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that we were looking at a HISS tank, and I think it looks awesome. It definitely has a lot of visual interest, some different things that kind of draw you in, and really hit you with the details on this HISS tank. But it has the same like profile and silhouette of what we're used to as a HISS tank. So I had to kind of like think about, did I really want this? Is this something I was going to pass on? In the past year or so, I've really kind of gone all in on the classified line. And I mean, even if we're not talking about a HISS tank, the HISS tank driver is so iconic. It's such a classic figure that I would really regret missing out on this and missing out on this figure. I think it looks dope. I think the fist, the boxing glove hands is kind of a cool inclusion, although I probably won't be using that. I do like the modern looking machine gun that he has. I could definitely see something where we got one of those gull wing windows propped up, and him holding the machine gun out and returning fire on some Joes. Anyway, here's another look at it. Just some beautifully added details. I knew this was going to have working tracks. I mean, that's the only, that's a major feature that is going to is going to justify that premium price point. There's been some talk about, like what would, could they use some of the molds and stuff for a retail release? And I actually think that, some of the, if you kind of take away, if you exchange the working treads for the kind of like solid treads, the wheels underneath, and you get rid of the detailed canopy with the gull wings and kind of, get rid of a few more details. I think there's enough pieces in here in that mold that you could take this and put it out for a regular retail release, and we might get, like a cheaper, Python Patrol HISS tank, cheaper, probably $100, to be honest with you, because you're still looking at a huge toy. But that might be something that we don't see for another year or 2 years or something like that. The speed at which this funded, I definitely think we're going to be seeing a lot more Haslabs. If we get oversaturated with Haslabs, we might be looking at some diminishing returns. So it'll be interesting to see what we see in the next few years, as far as Haslabs between the O-ring line and G.I. Joe Classified. So as of right now, we've already unlocked the first tier, which includes these side-mounted missile racks. Because last time I looked, we had 10,000. We were pretty close to, I think, actually, the last time I looked, we had 11,000. So we were pretty close to unlocking the second tier unlocked, which includes the retro style canopy and the retro tread covers. This is something that we might see in like a retail release, where instead of that, like, detailed and more moving parts on the canopy and a simpler tread cover, or actually, I mean, that would just be one solid piece. They would basically kind of, you know, they could probably um, rejig the mold for the tank treads to be like one solid piece, so that you know, that they're using less tooling for those, you know, for a cheaper version of the HISS tank. So, you know, so it would be cool. It would be cool to get a second HISS tank, even if it wasn't this detailed, this, you know, this type of HISS tank. And the other thing that they talked about was that, and you know, they said if this funds within a week, it funded within 9 hours. So we're definitely getting the second action figure. We've already got the driver. That was a, you know, that was kind of on the base offering. And this next one's the tactician. What we're looking at here is, I found this posted on hisstank.com. This, I guess, was you know, on creatinggijoe.com, and this shows some of the color studies that Ron Rudat did for the HISS driver, which is going to be the basis of the color schemes that are going to be considered for the HISS tactician. My vote is for this kind of this red helmet, gray jumpsuit version on the top right. I think that's the one that pops out, and I think that's the one that the colors are gonna tie in closest with the HISS tank driver. And I would say that our HISS tank driver probably is a cross between the larger picture, just the black and red. And then instead of the black chest plate, we ended up with the blue chest plate. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we end up getting. Some of that gray color scheme reminds me more of like an eel. I definitely like the purple. My only thing with the purple is that I don't think it doesn't go as well with the HISS driver. I feel like I would want there to be a little more visual interest between the driver and the tactician. So I mean, even if they just took like the color scheme and kind of reversed it a little bit, I think that would look cool. The blue one is like Rip It, who is supposed to be like the HISS commander. I don't know, that might be a really popular choice. For me, I like Rip It. I think it's cool, but I don't think that's the superior choice here. So anyway, I've talked a lot about the HISS tank. It was interesting when the price leaked the day before, what was it, like Tuesday, and I was seeing a lot of chatter online about people, you know, saying like, "Oh, pass," and that type of thing. And I totally get that, because this is really pricey, and you know, they kind of keep hitting us with the same types of things. You know, we're seeing a lot of Snake Eyes, we're seeing a lot of HISS tank, we're seeing a lot of Awe Striker, more Awe Striker than I would have thought. But I, you know, I'm not going to make any apologies for Hasbro. I understand what their strategy is. There's a lot of cost savings here, but I think they did put a lot of effort into the HISS tank, and I think they put a lot of thought into like what would be the most iconic, the most, you know, the thing that was the most doable, but also would be you know, would be the most well received. I think a Vamp might have been well received as well. You know, I can't think of anything else that really would have beaten a HISS tank. I mean, I definitely have some of my favorites, and you know, I mean, but you know, but the more interesting the idea, the less feasible, we're talking about. So, I mean, like, I would say that, I'd love to see it classify it. But uh, that's going to be like $600. It's going to be twice as much as a HISS tank. By the way, one of the unlocks, I'm pretty sure, because this HISS tank has a trailer hitch. I think that's I would say it's probably going to be the last unlock, is something that connects to that trailer hitch. It's probably not going to be an asp. I think an asp is going to be a little too big, but I could see something like an anti-aircraft gun type thing, or like a missile, the missile launcher. I think came with one of like a HISS tank, like a Sears exclusive in the vintage line. I think it was like the Crimson HISS tank. So we'll see. I have no idea like what to expect on there, but just the fact that this has a trailer hitch makes me think that it's going to have something that's going to hitch onto that trailer. That maybe a Coastal Defender, Cobra version of a Coastal Defender. That would be pretty. That'd be pretty weird. It looks like a porta potty or something. Anyway, so we got some classified pre-orders. Again, we didn't get as many as I thought we would, and I think that we ended up not getting one that was planned. And I'll speak on that in a minute. The first one was Snake Eyes and Timber. I know a lot of people who passed on this one. For me, I really like the color scheme on Snake Eyes. I was kind of torn on this, but the thing that put me over the edge is getting another articulated classified wolf. I mean, this version of Timber looks really dope, and the fact that each of the Timbers, the Alpha Commando Timber and this Timber, both have alternate heads. I could display one with the the kind of this calm head, and then one with the more savage head, and I really love that. And the other thing that I really like is if you look at his saber, the sheath for the saber is brown, and he's got a lot more like green web gear. I don't know, this version of Snake Eyes really really interests me. I'm gonna pass on the Fortnite version because really it's not much different than one of the versions that I already have, and I don't really like the accessories. So, and I missed out on the deluxe Snake Eyes that came out, kind of like came out with the launch. And at this point, I'm not really regretting missing that because I don't know. I got the regular retail release. I got the Alpha Commando, the movie version, and then I've ordered this one. I think they should probably cool it on Snake Eyes, but and I got the retro, the Walmart, and the old. So I think I'm pretty Snake Eyes out right now, but we'll see, because I mean there's vintage version 3, vintage version 4. And as much as I, don't necessarily like the color scheme for vintage version 4, if they take the Alpha Commandos Snake Eyes and then, paint him blue, put a lot of wild colors on him, I'm probably going to order that one. So the other thing we got was the ninjas. I don't think this was super popular. In fact, I think these guys might still be available on Amazon. Don't quote me, but I didn't army build the red ninjas. I do have a red ninja. I think he's super cool. I like all the accessories he has. I also have one of the red ninjas, or the hand ninja from the Marvel Legends, and I think they go together like a cool pair. I wish I could head swap them. But unfortunately, the the ball joint in Marvel Legend, or I mean, from one figure to another, even within GI Joe Classified, I've found that the ball joints aren't the same size, so head swapping is really difficult. I'm sure there's a lot of like tips and tricks that some of the pros could have, or could give me. And the um, the Japanese ninja masks that come with these, I think, really sold it, because I can, eventually, I mean, I'm assuming we're going to get some more Cobra ninjas, possibly Night Creepers, like Slice and Dice. I mean, I think eventually having like a variety of ninjas in different colors with Storm Shadow, I think that would just look really great. And if they re-release the original Amazon exclusive Storm Shadow, which is another figure that I missed, I'm definitely going to buy that one, because even though that's not, that figure wasn't really my jam, we've gotten enough where I think that would look cool in an ensemble. So I think the female ninja looks cool. The Akiko sculpt looks pretty dope. And I wonder if the mask head would fit Akiko. Like I could pop her head off and put that mask head on and use that kind of like the balaclava mask for this blue female ninja. So I'm curious about that. And these guys are supposed to be delivered in a couple of months. I think they're going to be here in August. So yeah, I really think these are cool. The other thing with the price point on Kamakura being $34, like I get it. I think there's some, but I mean, I have Amazon Prime, so we're talking about $34 with free shipping. I mean, that's going to be the same as if I had bought him for like $25 on Entertainment Earth and then had to pay shipping on top of that. So and then if you take the price point for Kamakura and the price point for the Blue Ninjas, and you combine that, you're talking about 3 figures for $80, and that's pretty, that kind of spreads out that kind of cost, because the Blue Ninjas for $45, that's a pretty good, that's a pretty good price. And in his the sculpt, I think he shares some pieces. I think the hood, and his torso, I think he shares that with Storm Shadow. But I think there are some parts for Kamakura that are new sculpt. So again, we could be seeing some of these parts, remixed and reused for some more ninjas down the road. A good old Ninja Force. And that's the other thing. I don't know anything about Kamakura. I didn't read the comic books that he's in. He looks cool, and having another good guy ninja to fight all these red ninjas and blue ninjas and stuff alongside Snake Eyes, is a real draw for me. And I don't know what it is, but I'm like a sucker for these like martial arts type action figures. So this was the one that I think was supposed to be ready for pre-order, and but wasn't. So this is the Tiger Force Duke on the Tiger Force Ram, or the Tiger Ram, or whatever this they're calling this. I think I really like this. I've seen some customs where people did the Tiger Force Ram that I think were better. The placement of the face, I guess I understand that it would be very difficult to do a mass production of something where the face was on top of the, on the front of the motorcycle, where there's so much more texture, as opposed to kind of the gas tank area on the motorcycle, which is a little more smooth. So you can basically like kind of print that much easier. Other than that, I think the details look really cool. The color scheme looks really cool, and this unlocked like a memory that I had. So I got some parts and pieces from my my neighbor, and I used to, and so he had the Tiger, the Tiger Force Dragonfly, and it had that like machine gun mounted on the skids, and he was really rough with his toys, and that thing broke off, and I ended up with it. Like he gave me some broken figures and stuff, and I was like, when I was a kid, I was a scrapper. I was like, oh, this is GI Joe. I don't care if it's broken. I'm going to use it. And I used to have action figures carrying around that giant like machine gun, or like you like putting it down on the ground and using it as like a machine gun nest or something. And yeah, the sidecar on this, the sidecar Gatling gun, kind of has that same color scheme with it, where it has the kind of the yellow box with the red barrel, so definitely triggers some fond memories. Yeah, I like I like that this dude comes with. It's a shame that we didn't get that gun with the regular release, but I'm in favor of a little bit of variation between like all the different versions of the characters. So yeah, I think he looks good. I'm glad they didn't change up the hair color. That was always like a weird discontinuity that I thought was that bugged me when I was a kid, where yeah, characters had different hair colors, if they were like in a sub team or something. And they did that with Outback, where Outback has red hair, and his Tiger Force version has gray hair. I mean, I know that's how the classic one was, but when they released, or they announced the Tiger Force version with the gray hair, I was wondering if the regular release would also have gray hair. I was actually hoping, because gray-haired characters were pretty rare. I think the other one that I like is Hardtop. I think that's the character. I think I have vintage Hardtop, and he has gray hair, and I always thought like some of the generals and stuff would look cool with like gray hair, kind of make them look a little bit more mature, a little more senior. So, but anyway, spending so much time talking about hair color. Yeah, I totally expect to see pre-orders for Duke to go up anytime. So, and hopefully Target doesn't screw us over. So, yep, red X, because we haven't gotten that pre-order yet. O-ring pre-orders, and we got more O-ring stuff than I expected in GI June. I thought maybe we'd get one or two, but yeah, let's go through it. So we got another Transformer GI Joe mashup with the Bumblebee Off-Striker, and much better price point this time around. I think it's funny that we got a HISS Tank and an Off-Striker, which were the two vehicles, or two of the vehicles that we got in the retro line. The other vehicle that we got was the Fang. So I wonder if we might get a Transformer Fang in there somewhere. but which, hey, I'm all for it, I think these look cool. I've got my vintage Awe Striker, I got the Walmart exclusive Awe Striker, and then I'm gonna have my Bumblebee Awe Striker, which I definitely couldn't pass up, especially with Stalker. And I love the fact that the Stalker is going to come as a carded figure within this package. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to display Bumblebee. I'm going to have Bumblebee out, but I'm going to keep Stalker in the card. And I've been doing that with all of the O-ring figures that I've gotten. I just got my my Cobra Trooper and Cobra Officer pack, and I'm keeping them in the card because that's going away. I think it's part of the the experience to like see them in the package. Anyway. Yeah, I just think having some of these carded O-ring figures are really going to be cool. And the other thing is that as far as the tactile sense of playing and manipulating the action figures, G.I. Joe Classified has really taken that on in my kind of collector experience. So having and we're gonna get a Stalker in the Classified series pretty soon. The orders have already gone, it's already gone up for pre-order, just waiting for those to come in like 6 months or something. But anyway, so I think these Transformer G.I. Joe mashups are successful. I don't think that they can do too many more of these. I would say they should probably cut it off after 1 or 2 more, if they're planning to do any more after this. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple more, maybe like a Vamp and a Fang or something like that. I think those would be really cool. But we haven't gotten an Optimus Prime. I don't know what hey May, Optimus Prime Havoc would probably cost a lot. We'd probably be looking at a pretty high price point on that one, probably above $100. But that would be pretty cool. And like a Fang would be smaller, so you'd probably have like a smaller little smaller robot. And I'm not sure if you could have like a G.I. Joe mounted on the back. Anyway, those are some musings, some thoughts about that. But I really like this. I actually think the color scheme looks cool. The green and the yellow don't bug me. I do like the green of the Vamp, and the yellow is kind of necessary to identify this as Bumblebee. And so I think there's just enough there to kind of do both. And then we also got our third O-ring 2-pack of figures. This time it's Cobra Commander and Duke. Again, I'm going to keep these in the package. I do like the extra accessories that comes with this. I'll probably play around with putting those on other figures, and so we'll kind of see, what transpires. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to keep these in these little cardboard cases for at least a while, but definitely keep those on the card. So let's see what else we got. This was probably the thing that I was most excited about G.I. June. I mean, not to overshadow the Haslab, but seeing that we're actually going to get a vintage vehicle like this in this retro O-ring line that they're doing as a Hasbro Pulse exclusive really gives me hope that we're going to see more stuff like this. And this is what I'm really into. The Transformer thing, those are a cool novelty, but something like this is really what is drawing me to, collect these O-rings. And I mean, if we're gonna have a Stinger, we're probably looking at a Vamp. You could do the Dreadnought version of the Vamp. You got your green Vamp, your desert Vamp. So yeah, we're probably, they could get their mileage out of this sculpt, and I would be totally okay with it, because the Vamp is one of the most iconic, vehicles. It's not one that I've seen, but or it's not one that I had when I was a kid, but yeah, I definitely think we should get, at least the GI Joe version of the Vamp. And I to be honest, I'd love to see a Snowcat. I think that would just be so awesome. And some of the other smaller scale vehicles, Trouble Bubble, the Claw, Snake Armor. Oh, I love Snake Armor. Yeah, I hope we see a lot of like the kind of the early 1982, 1983, 1984 vehicles. I'd be okay if we don't get a glider, but yeah, I think yeah, man, this looks so dope. And in the Stinger driver, he is yeah, that's a really cool figure. Man, yeah. And eBay prices for these guys have gone up. Yeah, you very rarely see a good condition Stinger driver for a price that's reasonable. So anyway, so then yeah, we got some digital render reveals. They talked about our waves are going to be expanded from 3 figures to 5 figures. They showed us Falcon. Falcon's very cool. We kind of knew he was coming. I'd be interested to see what accessories he comes with, but because they've been leaning into just kind of replicating the vintage GI Joes, I totally expect him to come with his vintage loadout, shotgun, the backpack with the radio antenna, the knife, maybe some other stuff. We'll I guess we'll see. But yeah, he looks cool. He's kind of plain, but I'm digging, this, kind of digging the classic camo look. He is one of the kind of like undisputed, grounded military figures in the line. So totally yeah, totally buy into Falcon. I will have to say, I will have to admit, like I said, I've gone full tilt into GI Joe Classified. So I'm not going to pass up on a lot of things. I love the sub teams, the crazy sub teams like Tiger Force. I mean, if they introduce the Night Force, that's just game over for everybody, I think. But anyway, so yeah, so Falcon, would love to see Night Force Falcon. I think the other version of Falcon that is really great was I think the sound commandos, the one with the little sound buttons, with the gray with the digital camo. Yeah, I would love to see that figure. Moving on, we've got our Slaughters Marauders Barbecue. I actually think that the color scheme works pretty well. I think there were other Slaughters Marauders that had like a weird kind of striped color scheme. I want to say like Mutt and Spirit. I want to say that their color schemes were a lot more strange because the vertical or the horizontal striping kind of masked some of the details on the sculpt. But I don't think that's the case for barbecue. And I actually had Slaughter's Marauders Barbecue when I was a kid, so I'm definitely gonna get this. I think barbecue looks dope. It is a little frustrating to see like a repaint this early. Like I feel like I just got the red barbecue, but I'm not going to pass up on Slaughter's Marauders. So your other Marauders were Mutt and Junkyard. So I'm curious to see. I'm like, if we're going to get regular release Mutt and Junkyard and regular release Slaughter's Marauder, Slaughter's Marauders, Mutt and Junkyard, and Lowlight. Lowlight was the other one, right? So and then we got Spirit. Spirit's already in the line, so it's not going to be a stretch to see Spirit in his deco, and then Sergeant Slaughter, obviously. So we're probably going to see a Slaughter's Marauders version of Sergeant Slaughter in pretty soon. So so that's I think that's six classic Marauders. You got Barbecue, Sergeant Slaughter, Mutt Junkyard, Spirit, Lowlight, and I'm forgetting one, and it's gonna bug me, but we're gonna move on. And then this one was another kind of like a repaint. We've already gotten two bats, two versions of the bats. We got the classic bat, we got the Python Patrol bat, and now we're getting a Crimson bat. It looks great. It would be interesting to see different like arm attachments for this version, but but I'm not going to hold my breath. I probably will get one of these because I think you look cool with the alongside the Crimson Guard, but I'm probably not going to get more than one. It's probably going to be another one of those big army builders that I'm not going to army build because it's just kind of like be in there in the ensemble. So we kind of already talked about Outback. Looks great. He's a fan favorite. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for him, but he looks great. I'm definitely gonna get one of these guys. And CoverGirl. CoverGirl is definitely one of the ones that I was hoping for. This sculpt looks really great. I mean, she looks pretty cute. And interested to see what kind of accessories she's going to come with. Probably not going to come with forgetting the name of her tank, but yeah, I think she looks really cool. The jacket looks cool. She's got that classic classic vintage action figure inspired look. So she's really cool. CoverGirl is one of the characters that I kind of forgot about, because in the Sunbow cartoon, like her and Scarlet look pretty much the same. I mean, their hair color is a little different. I didn't remember this character. So anyway, and then we got to see some figures or some shots of Sergeant Slaughter. I think he looks awesome. I definitely hope, I know this is going to be like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. What Hasbro did, they released some figures around the same time as the Star Wars Celebration, and they were not difficult to get a hold of. So I'm, even for people who didn't go to the convention, so I'm hoping that this is the same thing where it is released at the same time as Comic-Con. And Comic-Con is going to be on I think it's July 21st. So kind of mark your calendars. Hopefully these go up for pre-order on July 21st, and they do not run out. But yeah, I think he looks pretty cool. This is the classic GI Joe Sergeant Slaughter, and not taking anything away from Action Force. I did pre-order. I kind of got on it late, but they were still available, and I pre-ordered the Wave 1 version of Sergeant Slaughter, and that one looks great too, but great in a different way. I mean, this one definitely hits that kind of like GI Joe nostalgia, and the Valaverse version, it looks like an older, more mature Sergeant Slaughter, and he's been a great ambassador for the brand in for a long time. So I think it's totally appropriate to have both of those versions in my collection. I do have like 2 other Sergeant Slaughter action figures. Three more. I have like one of the vintage ones, the one that came with the Warthog, and I have the Masters of the WWE Universe mashup, and I have a wrestling, like a WWE wrestling figure of Sergeant Slaughter. So definitely interested to see kind of the comparisons and stuff. I've always handed it to GI Joe Classified. They do great detail work. These figures look amazing. I actually think they look better than the Star Wars Black Series and the what was the other thing I was going to say? The Marvel Legends. So and definitely I think they blow the Mattel action figures out of the water. I think the Mattel action figures are done at a lower price point, and I think that kind of shows, but they're more popular with kids, so I can kind of see how they how that kind of works for them, lowering the price point and kind of making them less detailed. Anyway, and then they kind of introduced a new feature, this pipeline reveals, which makes me wonder, like, if they're revealing stuff that we're going to be getting 2 years out, like what, are we going to get any? I mean, we're going to get the digital renders, and then we're going to get some demo models and everything like that. But it makes me wonder if we're going to hear about new figure, how often or when's the next time we're going to hear about new figures. I mean, I'm sure they haven't shown their entire hand to us. But anyway, let's get into it and talk about we'll go kind of like week by week on the pipeline reveals. So the first ones they talked about were Shipwreck and Rock and Roll. I definitely think these are going to be really cool. I'm interested to see what they do with Shipwreck, because he does have a very like antiquated sailor look. He came with like a, I don't know, what would you call that type of gun? I mean, it's a double-barreled musket. I don't know. Yeah, just a really weird, like, that's a really weird weapon. And then he's got the kind of like the boarding, my brain is fried. That kind of like utility tool that he has there for like boarding another ship. So, but I do think they're going to keep a lot of the vintage DNA. He may have like a removable sailor cap. You know, they might do the same thing that they've done with a couple of the female figures, where they have different hairstyles that kind of like clip on. You know, so that you can have a variation in his look. So really interested to see that. I really think, you know, there's been a little bit of debate on what version of rock and roll we're going to get, and I think we're going to start off with our original version. And before we move on, I kind of want to talk about the green team. So so we got Breaker, we've got we've got rock and roll. We'll talk about Grunt in a second, because they just they announced Grunt more recently, like last week, I think. But so one of the things that I think they should do with the green team is, I think there's going to be some reluctance to release like all 13 of them. But I think what they should do is they should release like a 2-pack of green shirts, and they don't need to necessarily label like specifically who they are, but I think they should come with a variety of accessories and a few different heads, so that you can kind of like, you know, like people who want them, you know, want multiples, could buy a couple of them and have kind of like a variation of like a, you know, like a variety of different squads and stuff. And my inspiration for this idea is basically the Marvel Legends Shield 2-pack, where like two guys, all blue, you know, kind of basic deco. It came with, I want to say, 5 heads. It came with like 2 helmeted heads, and some different races. There was one that was kind of like dark haired, maybe Latino, one that was Asian, one was African American. And I think you could do something similar with G.I. Joe, where you got the green body sculpt. And the other thing is that you kind of have like a more of a turtleneck look, because you have your neck. The neck would be, for the Shield agents, was blue, but for Joe would be green, right? And then you had a head that was a different, you know, different skin color, and then the arm and hands would be gloved. So you basically have that, you know, you basically don't have anything else that indicates what race they are, except for the head, which I think could work. I would put at least two helmets, 2 like removable helmets, one of them with the visor and one without the visor. And one of the guns would definitely be an M16. I'd probably throw in that kind of like laser rifle, the one from the Sunbow cartoons. I would put in the short fuses mortar, and Zap's shoulder mounted rocket launcher. And that way, like, you could get a couple, you could create your own Zap, create your own short fuse, create your own Grunt, and you know, like, you have a little bit of variety. I'd have one of the figures with like the kind of the full harness, and then one with just that kind of shoulder harness that, you know, like short fuse. And I think a couple of other characters, I want to say like Hawk had one that was silver, but I would do brown harnesses, or maybe one black, like black shoulder harness, and one with the you know, like a brown full harness. and throw in a couple backpacks. One of them would be like the grunt backpack, and one of them would be more like the short fuse backpack. So so you kind of had like this kind of variety of different loadouts for each one of these guys. And if you bought like 2 of these army builder packs, you'd basically have like, you know, like a full squad. Or you could just buy a bunch of them, you know, throw in, you know, do some more head swaps, and kind of create like, you know, create your own OG Green 13. And that way, you know, people who want all 13 of the green team could basically like kind of put those together, or make that happen. And they wouldn't have to release like one of each one of those characters. So anyway, that's just kind of my rant, and we'll finish up. But we got Torpedo, Copperhead. I'm so happy about Copperhead. He's such a crazy character that I love. Yeah, I love that character. And hey, man, I want to see. There's a bunch of scuba divers in the GI Joe line, and I love all of them. Even like crazy Hydro Vipers, and you know, like Deep Six, and you know, I think they could have a lot of fun with that. Another theme other than your divers, you also got your snow guys, starting with Snow Job. This guy's going to be dope. You know, we could get an iceberg and a man, I'm blanking on all the other snow themed characters, but you also got your ice vipers and your snow serpents, which would be great enemy versions, or snow. Tunnel Rat, again, another fan favorite. He is got that kind of like grounded military look, so he's going to look great. I know I'm not the first person to say this, but I'd love it if they really did a good job of making this guy look like Larry Hama. You know, young version of Larry Hama would be really great. Hopefully that's something on their radar, something that they can make happen. You know, I know that makes everything more complicated with likeness rights and so on and so forth, but yeah, Tunnel Rat would be a really cool character. Oh, and so this is probably the one that I'm most excited about. I'm excited about Copperhead, but really the one that I really love is Scrap Iron. Scrap Iron, I think a classified, like detailed version of Scrap Iron is just going to look really awesome. And I'm so interested to see how they upgrade his little missile launcher, remote launcher unit. It sounds like we're going to get something that's pretty big, because he's going to be more of a deluxe figure. And anyway, so yeah, the other one is Grunt. The reveal. He was kind of like the original poster boy for GI Joe. That was the character, that was the iconic character that they used a lot, and he's kind of been replaced by Duke and Snake Eyes and a lot of other more memorable characters. But anyway, yeah, Grunt. Yeah, so yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with him. I hope he comes with an M16. I think that would be really cool. So, and then more recently, they I guess they forgot to announce these on the live stream, but they've since you know, passed this along to some of the GI Joe influencers. And we've got we're gonna get my knowledge about Dreadnoks is showing. Ripper. Yeah, I think this is Ripper, which is cool because I think we need some more dreadnoughts. We need at least the that kind of that O lineup. Um, and I'm not big on the dreadnoughts, but um, but they look cool, and I think you know um, how does that Crocmaster should be a dreadnought, right? Don't you think? He looks. I think he just fits right in with their kind of like crazy aesthetic. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think they could really do some really awesome stuff with the dreadnoughts. I'd like to see them released more like closer together so that we can kind of collect them a little, get kind of that whole subgroup together sooner. But it's probably because we're going to see a lot of like, we're going to see a lot of unique sculpts come from that um, that faction. You can kind of like reuse a lot of parts with guys who are in uniforms, but with the dreadnoughts, I mean, they're all kind of like they're all very unique. They could probably, once they kind of get like a bare arm, muscular bare arms type. Um, Actually, let's see, they already have that um, with Gung Ho. So so I don't know. Maybe they're just yeah. Maybe I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm going down the wrong path in my thinking, but anyway, it should be cool to kind of get those characters, and then the other one that they revealed is Firefly, which is interesting because we were already gotten a Firefly. I definitely think that we could get one that's a little more vintage inspired. Makes me wonder if this is going to be part of that kind of like that retro Walmart release. But either way, would love to see some of those more vintage accessories and something a little more along the lines of his vintage look. I don't hate the one that came out, the Target exclusive, but I totally understand why that is was not as well received as as they wanted. I think they were putting in a lot of effort to modernize the GI Joe classified, and I think what they've kind of hit on is that the formula that works the best is basically just like really honing in on kind of that nostalgia and vintage look. I do like a little bit of the upgrades in there too, but when it kind of departs from the DNA of that original vintage figure, yeah, I think that's where it can kind of go off the rails, and I'm looking at that first wave of GI Joe figures where we're getting a lot of like gold accents on the arm or stuff like that, and I definitely understand where they were coming from, but I think that alienated a lot of diehard GI Joe fans, at the start, and I think they've kind of done some course correcting to kind of like get you know build back a rapport with the fan community. Anyway, so yeah, I thought all the GI Joe stuff this month has really been phenomenal, and I'm excited to see what else they come up with. We still haven't heard anything about Dr. Mindbender, so I'm expecting or pre-orders to open for Dr. Mindbender sometime this year, before the end of 2022. Hopefully we can get Sergeant Slaughter when those orders open up around San Diego Comic-Con. We're kind of waiting for the pre-orders to drop on Duke. Let's see. They had teased a Zartan with in the Walmart exclusive line, the retro carded stuff, and but I don't think pre-orders have gone up for that. And yeah, so yeah, so the Haslab, that's going to, that's going to hit everybody's bank accounts on August 15th. And the one thing, because I feel like I have a lot of pre-orders that didn't hit the original projected dates, May and June. And what I'm just nervous about is that mid-August date, we got the Haslab hitting, and then I get a bunch of pre-orders hitting as well. So yeah, so I'm gonna kind of keep my fingers crossed that that kind of everything is paced out in a way that doesn't give me a heart attack. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed Yojo June. I know that they're like cherry picked their favorites from this. I would say the highlights, definitely the Haslab. I think a lot, like things like that, create a lot of excitement and a lot of dialogue in the community about like what we really want out of our action figures. But yeah, the other thing is the stinger, man. I didn't know that was gonna happen when they showed it. I was just like, oh my god, I love this so much. It's one of the things that's kind of on my bucket list of like of vehicles to get, and I'm really excited that I'm going to have this opportunity to get one at a retail price. Man, just thinking about getting it, opening it up, putting stickers on it, getting that Stinger driver in my hands, and really exciting stuff. And and aside from that, all the other stuff, looks like the thing that we may be getting soonest are those blue ninjas, which I think are really cool, and can't wait to put them on my shelf and kind of build out my ninja squad. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to stop talking, and yeah, and wish you a pleasant evening, a great July, and a great summer. And yeah, can't wait to see what else the GI Joe brand has in store for us.